And we have myself, Yadira Calderon. I'm a Master of Arts, and Rainbow Mosho, my daughter, as you can see, she's doing the Dr. It move with hair on her face. And she's been an integral part of what happens and why I have put together this presentation as we move along with our life and our days in regards to the autism spectrum and the dynamics that we have encountered in the last 6 to 9 months, where PTSD has also become a part of what we experience, what we live, what we have to survive, and what we have to deal with. Thank you very much to Paula Foster and TCSW. The theme of the conference couldn't be more adequate, more appropriate, considering to what we're living, what we are experiencing, these unforeseen circumstances where we are all being limited from being close to each other and helping each other. So beyond healthcare, understanding social determinants of health. And in our case, the social determinants of health are very clear. And the boundaries many times have not been set. Many times the boundaries in regards to the community, they're not well established, and there are beyond an incredible amount of lack of comprehension and realizing that just because an individual has a diagnosis of autism, that everything has to evolve around autism, and it does not. I'll go in detail in a moment explaining what else can we see an individual on the autism spectrum. My daughter here, I'll talk about herself a moment about us. Right now, there are many things she can do, many things she could not do 7, 8, 9 years ago, and we're very fortunate. A lot of hard work. Yes, I am a parent. I am not a therapist, but we live life, many instances, just as if it was therapy. So we're going to begin. Thank you, everyone, again. Welcome. I am Yadira Calderon, and I am here with
Rainbow Mosho.
With Rainbow Mosho. So here we start art, autism, and PTSD. Yes, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Here we begin. And I would like to open up. Please feel free to ask your questions. Feel free to stop us, if you would like to inquire a bit more based on what we're presenting. This is an exchange. I don't need to be here the only one speaking. Please feel free to stop us, and we would love to hear with your comments. So here we have 2 drawings that were done by Rainbow Mosho. And this is all in the space of the last 6 months, particularly during this COVID-19 new life that we have. And I just answered who drew this. They were drawn by Rainbow Mosho. How old do you think Rainbow Mosho is?
12.
She just answered. She's 12 years old now. When she drew this, she was not 12 years old yet. And I would like to hear from any of you, what do you feel or think when you see these 2 drawings? Anyone, feel free to jump in.
This is Russ Anthony, and the first one on the left makes me feel sad.
Yes, definitely.
I'd like to make a comment if I could, just procedurally. I'm actually the moderator for this session, so if somebody doesn't feel like verbally asking their question, if they write it in the text, is it okay for me to read it out to you instead of, or do you want to read it yourself? So whichever way.
Thank you, Ross.
Which way do you prefer? Read it yourself or have me to read it? The question.
As people choose, if someone wants to verbalize, a comment based on these 2 items, go ahead, or if they want to use the chat, be my guest, and you're going to be helping us. So that's fantastic.
Okay, great.
She drew this. Yeah, she made these 2 drawings. Actually, it was around March, April of this year. Very particular set of circumstances. As you know, March 12th, the school system said everyone needs to move out. The schools are closed. There's not going to be school anymore. In our reality, we needed to head to Florida. Why? Because my mom was
having cancer for almost 1 year.
Yes, and she was dealing with what I knew and realized that it was a terminal stage. So we arrived on March 12th and we encountered these dynamics.
Okay.
We encounter these dynamics. For me as an adult, I am totally understanding of what's happening and what's occurring. For me as the parent of a child with the diagnosis of autism, this turned out incredibly set of new circumstances that I had never encountered. But again, no time to be thinking, analyzing. It's a time to act. My priority with Rainbow Mosho, my daughter, has always been, what do you feel? Now that she's verbal, now that she can speak, now that she can express her emotions, I would always ask her, what do you think? What do you feel? Let us know. If for some reason, at some point, she wasn't able to communicate what she was feeling, then it's when we resorted to art. And these two pieces are a result of how long will it last, the sadness, and all the emotion. And it is a question that she asked. It's a question that she asked, how long will her grandma last? Go ahead.
Yeah, I noticed that Abuela wasn't doing fine, so I made that piece of art of me thinking in my mind and my grandma asking how long will she last.
That's correct. And for all of us, of course, we cry when we see this. We do feel sad. But as a parent, again, I am comforted with the fact knowing that my child has tools and has her creativity, that regardless of a diagnosis of autism, in her circumstances, she can resort to art to address what she is feeling. The second drawing, it's called Reality, and it's based on duality, sorry. And it's based on a poem that she read with the schoolwork that she did between March and April. And it's a poem called Refugee. And I asked her after she read it, what can you draw? What can you conclude after reading this poem on refugee, where it was expressing and showing a variety of emotions with an individual who became a refugee? And it was comparing and contrast. So this is her creation after reading this poem, where again, she's not even 12 years old. She has a diagnosis of autism. And here we go. She's putting together with very beautiful images and at the same time very realistic, that duality that we as individuals have, that we can walk through life with sadness and challenges, but we can also choose to walk through life content, satisfied with who we are as individuals. So we move on to the next slide. The main description of is there anyone who has a question?
Yes, there's a question from the chat. Says, did you say that you drew these once the pandemic changed things?
Yes, it was a combination of factors for us, indeed. March 12th, we are told we're not going back to school. We are just trying to get a hold of what it is happening. What does this mean? What are we supposed to do with this? And then also compounded to the dynamic of the pandemic and the restrictions that were imposed on all of us. Then we also had to go to Florida to go be with my mom and go help her, because as I knew, my mom was in a terminal stage with her cancer. All right. Thank you. The description, when the presentations were done and the agenda for this event, the description that was written, was that bullying is a reality and PTSD is one of its consequences. The lack of social skills, diverse family realities, the pressure of social media, they all influence negatively the interaction in middle school. She's a middle schooler with Metro Nashville. And at the same time, the research confirms that a student with a diagnosis may face greater challenges and become an easy target. Here I am sharing my parental approach through art, and my goal it is to empower children with disabilities to survive PTSD, bullying at school, and at the same time, at this moment, with what we are experiencing, surviving life, bottom line, and not allowing fear to control the decisions that we need to make. Many times us as parents making decisions, and in this instance, without knowing, why do we have to make this difficult decision? what is the purpose. But I believe what has allowed us to be more engaged and be more responsive and not focus on the fear and the not knowing, in our case, is me as a parent grabbing the bull by the horns and understanding that she has a set of skills. She has creativity, and that will allow her to communicate with us. And for me, that's the priority number one. So here, the initial title was specifically focusing on bullying and PTSD, but we are adding on to the current dynamics because of what we are experiencing. And I'm going to cover in a moment explaining where does the bullying come from, and again, where does the PTSD come from? Because there are different sources, unfortunately, based on our reality.
Scroll down. Let me help you.
Thank you. So who are we? Who are we? I am Yadira Calderon again.
You got the photos in front of somewhere.
That's okay. We'll fix that. We're Yadira Calderon again. This is Rainbow Mosho. Do you want to talk about yourself a little bit?
I was born in Athens, Greece, May 30, 2008. And at the age of 2, I had a massive regression, and the doctor said I had autism. My mom had no choice but to leave my dad behind in Greece and move to America. I don't remember much in Greece, and I don't remember the day I felt like I came to life for the very first time as a toddler. But there's one thing I remember. On the day when I first came to America, I saw my aunt. It felt like I met her for the first time, and she had her boyfriend Arthur.
Yes, and this happened 8 years ago when we left Greece.
When I was 4 years old.
She was 4 years old. We left Greece. And the circumstances, again, of her diagnosis and what her needs were at that time, completely different from the young lady that you see in front of you right now. 2.5, massive regression. I had a child who was repeating everything in 3 languages. I had a child who was responding to verbal and nonverbal communication, who was enjoying playing in the playground. And at 2.5, all of a sudden, all of that just went to cahoots. She was unplugged. She was non-communicative. She was having behavior crisis. She was having self-injurious behavior. And out of the 12, 13, 15 items that can tell you someone can be on the autism spectrum, she had at least 10 of them. We were in Greece. We were in Greece once again. Things were very different then. Things were very different there. But I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and I grew up with a mother who was a nurse. Yes, hold on one second. And she always taught us that we need to rely on family, we need to rely on each other, and we need to go seek out the tribe. And that's exactly what I did. And we went to Puerto Rico. She was diagnosed. 2 developmental pediatricians confirmed the diagnosis of autism. What do you want to say?
I just forgot what I was
That's
about
okay.
to ask.
In a moment, you'll remember. So yes.
With the problems of me having autism, I had 10 of them?
That's not the problems, mi amor. The characteristics that define what is autism and why would a person. That's okay. You're not going to remember. Why would a person be diagnosed with autism? Okay. Yeah. So I have a Master of Arts degree in International Relations and Diplomacy. I speak 3 languages. I have lived in 6 countries, traveled to another 27. And all of those years, I became a mom at 40. She was my big present. So I had 20 years.
Biggest present in the universe.
She is my biggest present in the universe. So I had 20 years to be myself, to discover, to go on with life and see who I am, and go and knock on every door and have a blast, because I did. Go ahead.
Can I tell them the places where you went?
No, not right now. We don't have time for that. But I've been to 33 countries in total. It's fantastic, and I was born and raised in Puerto Rico.
She's also been on a pathway that led to the Himalayas, the world's largest mountain range.
So yes, I've lived in China, I lived in Canada, I lived in France, I lived in Greece. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico.
I don't remember you saying that you lived in Canada.
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, yeah, you said. I forgot. You said that.
And here in the United States, I've lived in Chicago, in Kansas City, in Florida. We are now in Tennessee for the past 2 years. Very happy to be here.
2 years.
My respect to the state, my respect to the organizations. We have found incredible opportunities, which allow me now to be here talking to all of you, sharing our experiences that have been empowering us and move forward, which is the most important thing, and is like my bottom goal. So some of her stops during her trek, there's a photo of Rainbow when she did her first self-portrait in July 2013, when her fine and gross motor skills were just non-existent. And a wonderful teacher in summer school. And she just, within a week, she taught her how to hold a golfer's pencil and the little pencils that are used when you play golf. And it was magic. And within a week, she comes home, she draws herself. I love it, as if you notice, she has
multiple fingers and 2 large ponytails.
She has a huge amount of fingers. Her eyes are big. So again, the expressiveness. And again, this is a young girl. At this stage, she is 5 years old. She has the diagnosis of autism. We also were dealing with ADHD, extreme at that time. And art became a tool. And art became a source of opportunity. So she was born in Greece in 2008, 2010, the massive regression. Autism became a part of our life. 2012 we were here. I did a short film, Just Autism, No Panic, right in 2015, and we were in a film festival. We participated in a PBS documentary, Autism Breakthrough to Hope, and the link to all of you later. I will share my email, and I can share all this information with you. She wrote some really funny books that, again, funny, but yet again, the creativity. In 2018, we went to, tell them.
In 2018, we went to the greatest city on earth, Manhattan, New York. I felt like I was in another world, but I was in the same world. And it was a fun opportunity for my mom to take me to another city that I'd never been before.
Yes.
And now I keep on wishing every day that I wish I lived in Manhattan, New York.
Well, it may happen, and that's motivation. And again, so many steps that we need to keep taking, moving her forward. So we went to the United Nations and participated in an autism observance event that they were holding every year. Again, meet people from all over the world living similar realities to what we live. And again, the commitment, confirming to me as a parent, I am on the right path, I am on the right track. And again, I'm grabbing the bull by the horns. I am not waiting to discover, what it is, what my child can do. No, we are going to be taking the steps. We are including ourselves in a variety of situations to move her forward, because the bottom line of all of this is to build independence. 2018, we moved to Tennessee. We had the opportunity to participate with Borderless Arts Tennessee in an art exhibit. Beale Street Art Crawl, total respect to Victoria Love, who has created a fantastic product, an art crawl for people like us that we don't have the $100, $200 to pay and be in art shows with a minimum fee. We were there, and again, exposing her, showing her what it is that she can do, and sharing her art. And other events that have happened here. The latest one, the Tomato Art Festival here in Nashville.
Hey, let me do it for you.
Thank you. Now, here you have a very important drawing that she did.
Oops.
That she did in, I don't know what happened here.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Can everybody see that, or do you see some green boxes in front of you? Could someone tell me? Let me see.
Okay, yellow and green boxes.
I know. You know what?
I don't know what I pressed.
That's okay. Let me stop the share and let me reshare again. So just give me a minute. We're sorry. Hold on. Here we go. We try again. And I'm going to be talking about the meaning of her art. Again, based on a perspective of what people share with us and what she... Okay, what's going on?
It's loading.
It's not supposed to share content. Here we go.
It's slipping.
Here we are. All right. Thank you. No, you cannot press it, please. Just do it gently. That's all right. Now, the meaning of her art. This drawing is the result of a project that she did for school based on the reality that she was bullied. Okay? And as she's creating, doing her research, learning the process of the scientific method, okay, where you research, you come up with a hypothesis. In her case, we must always integrate art in her learning process. Why? Because it is visual. Why? Because that's what allows her to be able to grasp the big ideas. If we get to abstract with vocabulary or numbers, math, it's very difficult. Then the response is the total opposite. And we must keep digging around the fence that has been built based on what her needs are, her diagnosis, the way her brain functions. We have realized that the resource of art and her taking the initiative, the responsibility, and understanding that she has a variety of skills that help her communicate with us. So here we have again a young lady who's 11 and a half years old, and understanding that this is a self-portrait, by the way, and the cute eyes, the smile, the hair, and with a trunk, so I'm a person and I have a trunk, and the difference of what I may have physically, of the way I may behave, it should not matter. So a very powerful message on the part of a young lady who is starting to understand the world, who again now has the capability to realize that the same way she drew duality, that you have your good moments and your bad moments, in this case, with her diagnosis, her understanding that people consider and see her as a different individual just because of what she says, just because of what she does, and just because
of what I look like.
No, not necessarily what you look like, mi amor. Because
some people said I'm ugly.
Well, that's okay, and that's normal, and all kids do the same thing, okay? Remember what have we said about that?
Just ignore them.
There you go.
Gently push them away and keep on with your day.
Well, physically, we don't need to be pushing no one
away.
No,
I mean gently.
No, that's okay. No, we don't. Yeah. We don't put our hands
Pass
on no one.
by them.
Just move on, okay? And this is something that she will keep learning. Again, the need to seek acceptance, the need to be understood, the need to be included. It is a constant struggle with many children with a variety of diagnoses, not necessarily autism, okay? And she is living proof that it's hard. And I am here being a mediator, a communicator, a facilitator in her day-to-day to help her realize you're not alone. It's hard. Please understand that, but we're going to be facing this. So that's why I keep reminding her, please resort to your art. If you cannot explain to me what happened to you, use your art as the source to communicate with us. So the meaning of her art is just a great variety of emotions depending on what she's feeling, depending on what she's going through. And they are very emotional, and again, they can be very factual or very abstract. And here we are now moving on to our COVID-19 experience with a combination again of factors of the pandemic, the big changes, the reality that we have been told we cannot be close to others, we cannot hug others. We are Latino, we are warm. She is half Greek, half Puerto Rican.
Greek-Rican?
Yes, she is. So we are loud.
I came up with that mixture.
We are loud, we are warm. We need to see her. She is a hug seeker. And that's what life is about. So all of that combined with circumstances that are out of our control, and in this case, adding on to the reality of our home, our needs, where we have someone who is in a terminal stage, who is sick, and we are dealing with those circumstances and learning from it more than anything, again, family and the need to be together, to respect each other. And I thank COVID immensely, because regardless of the fact that I am not working, it gave us the opportunity to be with my mom, and there's no greater reward. As difficult as it has been dealing with the realities of no regular income flow, but I wouldn't have it any other way. We were there for her. My daughter was there for her, feeling, experiencing. So again, in order to bring in every day that balance, to be seeing the circumstances we were in, art to the rescue. And here you have a combination, a variety of pieces that she put together. The first one with the angel, she drew this 1 hour after my mom passed away. Her dad is in Australia. They are on the phone, they're speaking as we are, my brother and sister and I, we are dealing with the reality of being there with my mom who had just passed away. And here's my daughter expressing her emotions, seeing herself crying, but also looking and being able to look up and see her grandma as an angel who's looking over her. The next one is the tree of life. Very powerful. Please, can you explain the tree of life?
The tree of life has many symbols, showing who you are and your personality. And my ponytail and the hair, that's a symbol it shows that it sticks out my brain and shows my personality.
So what are some of the symbols? Tell us quickly.
The symbol pi, you might know it for math. It's knowledge, and it's also used in a symbol in Japan. The symbol wind, it's a symbol that I can move freely wherever I want. Water is memory. The hoop that looks like this, you might see it. I can't do it with my.
It's okay. It's like above the eye. The symbol above the eye. What is that? Remember?
It's the symbol of life.
The key of life in hieroglyphs in Egyptian culture. That's okay. Keep going.
The eye, it means that I can see beautiful things. The heart with the 5 lines above it, that's a bear paw when I realized that my spirit animal is a bear. And the butterfly means that I'm always free and happy.
And what is the meaning of the fire?
Fire means that I can get raging mad sometimes.
And again, acknowledging at this age and at any age that we get angry and we can talk about it. And in this case, she can draw it, but she's also learning to verbalize her emotions. How important it is to have this young girl with a diagnosis of autism, with ADHD that has been controlled big time, and it's not as extreme as it used to be, but it is still a part of her reality, that she's able to put in a variety of symbols that she has learned out of curiosity, and she's self-taught, but she put them together in one piece that she called the tree of life. We have the mermaid, you see duality again, making beautiful cakes, the Japanese
cherry blossom
the
tree.
Japanese cherry blossom trees.
And the koi fish in the lake.
Yes, and you have, again, why do you use so many colors? Why is color important for you?
Color is important. Can I explain why? Because it means my emotion?
Yes.
Okay. Red means anger. Orange means silliness. Yellow means happiness. Bright green means fear. Seaweed green means calm. Turquoise blue means glamour, style. Dark blue or regular blue means sad. Purple means brave. Pink means love, and pinkish red means positivity.
Okay, so this is all her. This is not me. This is what she's come up with, her understanding of the variety of emotions that we have as individuals. And again, color helps her reflect on this and help her express what it is that she's feeling. Why did you draw the dollar and power and girl boss and the $200 million?
Yeah, I drew that because it was a work I did on online school, and I decided to draw that of copying it off my work. But
so what is the meaning of power and what is the meaning of girl boss?
Girl boss means that women who are different but perfect just the way they are can stand up for themselves too. And power means that you're strong just the way you are.
So empowering our kids, regardless of the circumstances they're in, the stage, the diagnosis, that cannot stop us parents. I have realized that. I have met many parents who also share this with their children and accepting their challenges, but at the same time empowering them. And our lives can improve and we see quality of life. And again, I ask her many questions, what it is that you want, what do you believe, what do you understand based on what we experience, and her pieces of art to reflect on this. Can you explain your drawing of
How
the
easy?
no, just okay, let me finish. The little worm. Explain that, please.
The little worm. You know worms can't stay in water, right? Because they can't swim. But the little worm has made a boat out of a flower and its stem and adventures across lakes, rivers, and oceans. The other worms say he's doing something absurd that'll get himself not being safe. But the little worm follows his dream of seeing all the waters of the world.
So why is there a fish in the water? What is the meaning of that?
Because the fish all around the world who are in lakes, rivers, and oceans believe in the little worm.
All right, wonderful. Now,
the last one, neko, cat in Japanese.
Okay.
I copied that from a movie because it impressed me because cats see an amazing worlds that we can't see, and in the movie Whisker Away, that was originally from Japan, the movie, but it also meant there was a world for cats where they can roam free and adventure.
So she is very curious, and I do promote the curiosity. I ask, I inquire what it is that you want to watch. Many times, remember, our kids in the autism spectrum and with a variety of diagnoses, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, it is included in our dynamics. And things may need to be viewed, in the case of movies, 50, 100, 200 times. At this stage that she can verbalize what she's seeing and she can explain, we go through it and I let her be and I let her watch it, which is part of the process and the routine, keeping control, holding her responsible and accountable for what she needs to do with school, but also understanding that this is something that she needs and she needs to repeat things, and do them over and over. And we are learning about that and understanding that. Now, here we have the sources of PTSD. Where does the PTSD come into our equation in our day-to-day? This drawing, can you tell them about this drawing, please?
This drawing, I remember something when I was little, and I didn't tell my mom about this because I didn't understand at that time. That drawing showed one time when I didn't understand the problem that we were supposed to do in summer school, the teachers locked me in the bathroom. Sometimes I was with another kid. And I didn't know that I had to explain to my mom at that time.
So what did you draw here? What does this mean?
The chains of hate. Eternal. It felt like eternal hate to me. But it's not eternal hate.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad you understand that. When on January the 6th, 2020, she verbalizes and she explains to me what she just said, that Mom, I remember when she was about 6 or 7 at this time, ESY, extended school year, summer school, this happened in Florida. And she tells me, I remember that I was put in the bathroom when according to the school,
didn't understand what the problem of work was done. And my mom was like, they did?
And her behavior at the time, again, was the typical behavior that you may encounter with a child who is on the autism spectrum. That, again, the comorbidities, the compounding of factors that are a reality with many of our children. And in her circumstances at that moment, as a parent, when I hear this, of course I'm incensed. I'm very disappointed. I'm very upset. This is 5-6 years after it happened. I cannot hold anyone accountable at this moment. So again, what do? I don't dwell on what didn't happen. We cried. And I, as a parent, I cried so much, because I feel helpless. I feel helpless and I feel the impotence, of not having to be able to be there for her. Okay.
I didn't know you cried.
Yeah, we did, mi amor.
I
We
didn't
did.
know.
That's okay. You don't remember. It's okay.
And
So
this year into January,
Yeah.
I didn't know that you... Did you cry when after?
Let's continue, please. Let's continue.
I'm confused.
Thank you. That's okay. So the impotence as a parent of not being there for our children in a variety of circumstances. And again, what do? What are the strengths that I have that will give me the opportunity to open up the door to let her know we are going to get through this. please draw what you feel. And she came up with this drawing, and on the main slide in the beginning, that was the other drawing that she made. I see this, and of course I'm just completely heartbroken. But again, we take the high road, we move, we let her art speak for herself. And again, the reminders: keep telling me what you're feeling, keep explaining to me. So some of our sources of PTSD have been past experiences, as it is with most individuals that have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, the experiences lived, family life, in this case, death of a loved one. I'm a single mom, the stress that we encounter, our family separation, in school, the summer school, like she said, she was placed in a bathroom, teacher that has screamed at her, the timeouts that were imposed on her that did not provide the adequate support that she needed in order to help her excel during the learning process. Okay, and in the community, many parts, many realities that we experience: isolation, rejection, and being screamed at. So all of this does create a very, very, very solid platform in order to build on PTSD, that in this case, a girl in the autism spectrum, she's going to express in many different ways, with behaviors, with the up and down in the productivity, whether it was in school or the household. Yes.
I do remember being screamed at by others at parks. Wait. That's not.
There are many things you don't remember, mi amor, but I do remember, and that's why we're sharing that here.
It's kind of this. It doesn't make you feel sad, like others screaming at me when I'm not understanding.
Yes, of course, and I did, and I went and talked to the parents, and I explained to the parents on many instances I removed my child. Here I am making an attempt to include ourselves in our community. And I understand that many times my child's reactions and behaviors become a disruption to what others are doing, or what others consider is what we human beings should be doing. But we live in a world that's not what's going to occur. We live in a world where more and more we have more individuals that are diagnosed with a variety of titles, okay? Developmental challenges, neurological challenges, and behaviors. And the time has come for all of us to keep communicating with each other. So that's why I'm very thankful for this opportunity to be speaking here today. And the message to therapists, teachers, social workers, to families in general: you don't have to open up and pull out the red carpet. No. All we are asking is for respect. And if there's something you don't understand, come to us, talk to us, ask us. If you're afraid, I ask you immediately, release the fear. We are not to be feared. Okay, yes, again, what she does now, very different from what she did then. What she did then, many situations, it was dangerous and it was scary.
What was
but
dangerous?
We are not, in a moment, Mais.
Sorry.
In a moment. We are not to be feared what we do. Many times, again, as a parent, there's a lot that I could not explain based on what she did. But I came to the understanding that this is a part of our reality. But if I, the parent, did not remain calm, I, the parent, did not remain focused, and I was going to be worried about what others were telling me how things were supposed to be, I was not going to be helping her. And that is not my goal. My goal is to move my child forward. And in this case, with the sources of PTSD, and as I write here, some of the characteristics of the diagnosis in autism spectrum disorder, they limit the acquisition of tools to better handle a variety of situations that could result in PTSD. Auditory processing, sensory issues, limited understanding of social cues. That is the hardest thing to teach to an individual in the autism spectrum. Language, and the lack of advocacy skills. When she was being bullied in school, she did not know that she could follow a chain of command. She did not know that when there was a student that was asking her or making the most inappropriate comment, she did not know that the first thing she needed to do was to go talk to her teacher. If her teacher ignored her, she needed to go find the counselor. If the counselor ignored her, you go to the assistant principal. If the assistant principal ignored her, you go to the principal. Bottom line, as I always tell her, you come to me. Because if other people are not listening to you, I am going to make sure that I send that email, which emails become legal documents, and explain in detail what has occurred. And again, where are the tools that the school is utilizing in order to better help her move forward, in order to help her achieve advocacy skills, in order to help her manage this lack of understanding of social cues. So all of this, again, it builds up, and they are sources of PTSD. Again, what I have done is very particular. It is different because I understand. And I know that if I don't become 100% involved and give my child a degree of protections while holding her accountable and asking for responsibility for her actions, my child is not going to be moving forward. And that is not what we want. Anyone have any questions? Any comments? Before I continue, and as you know, why art as therapy? Feel free to interrupt me if anyone has a question or a comment. Why art as therapy? We have seen countless. I found this ResearchGate publication, research the importance of the usage of art as a therapy source in cases of PTSD. And I love this quote, and it says, art therapy may offer an alternative and suitable treatment. The experiential character of our therapy appears to be an appropriate method in not utilizing words, and also understanding the visual nature of traumatic memories. Okay, so in the case of my daughter, when she drew that young girl with a broken heart tied into chains, so visually that's how she was able to express what she had just experienced and how traumatizing this has been for her. For again, she can now speak, she can now verbalize what she's experiencing, and her brain and her reality, she is not, something triggered the memory. I don't know what it was, but for me as a parent, being able to hear from her what she had experienced, and as frustrating as it may be, but also knowing that we have a set of tools to move her forward. Again, I take the high road. I am here to support my child. I am here to share her messages. Another idea from more research, this is from the arts organization, the government. There's a lot of research, of course, in regards to PTSD and soldiers who have just returned from combat, who have experienced a variety of realities that, as you know, very damaging emotionally, physically, etc. A lot of us parents and a lot of our kids do suffer from the same type of PTSD. The same. And I urge at the end, one of my requests is for researchers, investigators, therapists to please include us families in your research and in your investigation, to keep sharing our realities and what many of us can or cannot do in order to address PTSD in our households. Our therapy helps recovering from trauma. The art works in therapy. They can act as as antagonists, and to help seek that peace that is needed. And our therapy helps in coping with difficult experiences during wartime. We are not in wartime, okay? But a lot of the many situations that we may experience in our lives may feel like it is wartime. And that's why it's so important that our needs are addressed. And the art therapy also helps foster connectivity to the brain. As you know, there's countless research in regards to the brain, the neurons, and how everything connects, and the emotions, and how the brain can heal. And this is where we are, again, as I mentioned earlier, how my daughter can now remember through the life that we live, how her nutrition that she receives, and how art has been a source of therapy to address many of her realities. Some more research. Our therapy promotes neurological and cognitive functioning. She is a prime example of that. concentration and memory. It has helped immensely foster connectivity in the brain for a healthier brain function, and it enhances enjoyment, promotes relaxation, ability to relate to others. Why? Because look, she's here. Look, and here we have again the tree of life. She has the capability to verbalize and explain why did she come up with all of the incredible and beautiful details in this piece of art, tree of life. I was so impressed. I was so impressed and so moved at the same time. She's not even 12 years old. She has a diagnosis. Again, that is not at that time. She has a diagnosis that there are many misunderstandings with the diagnosis of autism in our community, in our schools, in our therapy centers, in hospitals, with the police, the lack of understanding that exists, that our kids are not crazy. Okay, and yes, they may represent or show characteristics of individuals with psychiatric diagnosis, but our kids are not crazy. And here we are, us parents, having to address all of those realities and let people know, hey, hold on one moment, here we are, this is what is occurring. That's why I am an open book, and I want people to question me and ask me. Yes, Tamais?
Some people think us kids are crazy.
Unfortunately, yes.
That's messed up. What is this world thinking? The world doesn't need to be like this.
It does not. But that's why here we are, and having this experience, sharing what we have lived, sharing what we've experienced, sharing what we keep learning.
Yeah.
Okay? And moving you forward, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
We continue. Now, moving on to the issue of bullying. Again, she experiences her project. Can you tell us a little bit about your project?
I did this before 7th grade. I did a project based that kids were bullying me. So I noticed the box that my uncle had given me, and I thought of using it to make a stop bully box. And I decorated it a little bit. I glue gunned a lock and a key on it, and I also drew drawing on my tablet about it, and I put some notes and things I like in there.
So what kind of notes did you include? The purpose of the box and the purpose of the project was a science project where she had to put in practice the scientific research method. So you create a hypothesis, and then you create a variety of tools in order to prove your hypothesis. So she came up with this idea of the box with the key or the keys to stop bullying. And she did a survey. I'll show you some of the survey results in a moment. Go ahead.
By the way, I put some notes in there for good advice to stand up to bullies and tell if you're in trouble. And on the day I was making my presentation, some students were rudely laughing about it, knowing that they didn't even care, and that kind of hurt my feelings. But I still shared my presentation, even though they were rude and didn't accept it.
So that's, again, the communication that I keep establishing with my daughter, taking the high road, where you request and sometimes command the respect of others. And middle school is brutal. As we know, it's very difficult. Kids these days are not being held accountable for their actions, their words, the way they talk to each other, the way they treat each other.
Sometimes it's violent.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. She had a real moment almost right before school started, where she just exploded. And what did you scream at Jayla? Remember what
I angrily screamed at her, saying she was a bully, and then some of the kids pushed me to the ground, getting myself all muddy. And and one part when they were holding me back, a student held her hand near my mouth, and I gently bit it. I didn't bit it so hard, and then Mr. Keel comes and he said, "Why would I do that?" And I said, "I was trying to defend myself." And then he said, "Oh, shut up."
Unfortunately, a lot of the reactions of what is taking place with our children that have a diagnosis in the classroom, students with an IEP, an individual education plan.
It hurt my feelings. He didn't deserve to say this to me.
A lot of the responses from
the teachers. And then I burst into millions of tears, and one student blamed me for spitting my boogers all over another teacher, but I couldn't hold my boogers in from my nose.
Thank you. Very realistic. That's okay, I understand. So this is community work, this is communication, this is the need for training, and this is what she has experienced. And again, here I am
I've
as a parent.
experienced it all my life in school.
Yes, you can keep sharing in a moment.
Sometimes I get bullied by the teachers a little bit.
Well, this is her understanding, and it stems from the lack of the response of feeling that there's objectivity and that everyone is being treated equal in terms of how the stories are being said and shared. And that's one of my big requests. I have written to the district here in Florida and here in Tennessee, where many teachers still need a lot of training, and communication. And the students, now the school system began the school year talking about social emotional training. Well, that's something that we have been requesting for years now. And we're glad it's happening. It is not specifically targeted to what the needs of our kids are. Children, again, are kids, children with a diagnosis, children with an individual education plan, children that behave differently in a classroom setting. So we have a long way to go. And again, these conferences, these events, all of you, thank you for listening and thank you for being here and being a part of, ideally, as time passes, continue to open the door to better communicate and create spaces of respect, inclusion, and tolerance where our children can feel they belong. We're not asking for a perfect world. We know that that doesn't exist, but things can get better. And my daughter, at almost 12 years old, does not need to be dealing with PTSD, but she is. So again, I take the high road and I move on and I move her forward. All of this that she's been through up to now, they're going to make her a better person as she's older and she gains her independence. And she's going to be continuing to express herself through her art. She's now writing a book about OCD and her understanding about obsessive compulsive disorder from her part and some of the kids that are close to her that have massive, intense obsessive compulsive disorder. So the key to stop bullying, the key to stop PTSD is doing exactly what we're doing right now. Talking to each other, understanding each other, respecting each other, seeking out the resources that exist, because now in this age of technology there is so much that is out there, and how important it is to utilize those resources to find common ground and move our children forward. Now, back to that quick survey on the key to stop bullying. Some of the survey results. The most meaningful finding, it was a large percentage, 42.3% felt powerless and weak after being bullied, while 32.7% felt sad and 9.6% felt scared. As she wrote, this is her, I have felt all three, she has. I do not deserve to feel like this in a school setting, and no child should be afraid in school, and no child should not be feeling that no one hears them, and no child should be feeling going through the experience of a teacher telling them shut up when a kid is trying to make a statement and let them know I am being attacked in so many different ways, yet nobody's listening to me. And again, if you have resources, if you have additional support, we welcome all of that information.
I forgot to say, one time in 5th grade when I was picking up my stuff from the floor when I accidentally dropped them, a girl, J-Lo, the one I told about, she kicked my back. And then I told Miss Williams, the math teacher, and she didn't believe me, and she said, honey, Jayla says sorry, she didn't mean it. But I know she did. I angrily went to the office, and I called my mom and told her everything.
Yes, and here I go. Mom, what do? I write emails. And I write emails and I copy everyone. That situation in 5th grade, the student was not held accountable, and that's where the student continued to bully my daughter. And it wasn't until 6th grade, 6-7 months ago, where my daughter just screams at her because she's exhausted and tired of being cast aside and being treated
like an injured animal.
Those are her words.
Yeah.
I've never said that.
Wait, no.
That's okay. You say what you feel. It's okay. You say what you feel. You know that I respect that very much. So as a parent and parents out there, therapists, teachers, trainers, police, hospital, nurses, hold accountable those that are not treating with respect, tolerance, acceptance individuals like my child. We are going nowhere by continue to tolerate. And just because she had the power at the moment to say what she went through, immediately the person who in this case was the attacker, oh no, she didn't mean it. I'm sorry. There's no need to say she didn't mean it. She did it, and my daughter at the moment was being attacked, and at the moment nothing was done about it. And again, major source of PTSD. Um, some of the resources to explain in this case with the aspect of bullying, scientific research explains many of my realities. One of her main challenges is short-term memory and auditory processing. Auditory processing, when something is being said to you and it takes a minute to 5 minutes to be able to grasp and understand what it is that they're saying. And that is very difficult because that delays the response in this world where everything is fast. And where you have middle schoolers that if you take forever, immediately the array of names that you're going to be called, it has happened in the past 50, 60, 70 years. It still happens today. Okay? But again, what I can do at home, transmitting a variety of messages, and then there's a big divide with what is being done in a school setting or in an after school program where my child is not receiving the feedback that is going to allow her to become stronger and empower her. And that's where the big difficulty is, and it takes time to learn this. So that's why the learning advocacy skills is very important. Whether you're verbal or not, our children can learn advocacy skills. It's very important. The researchers explain students with disabilities are also rejected by their peers, which is a risk factor associated with victimization and bullying perpetration. And being rejected by one's peers can lead to isolation and other consequences such as depression, loneliness, and anxiety. Furthermore, peer rejection can affect academic engagement and achievement. For my daughter, I would have to say that based on these statements from the researchers, PTSD is the end result. And what we experience, where through periods of time, as time passes, she's bringing up these situations and she's anguished because she felt at that moment again that her words, her expression of her circumstances were not being respected, were not being validated. And that's a very, very challenging position to be in. And again, I'm not asking for special treatment at all. I am just asking for accountability from all involved. And she knows very well if there's something that she does that is completely out of place, that is not what is appropriate, that is not what is expected, she knows that she's going to receive being held accountable, and what she likes the most gets taken away, where the places that she likes going to the most she will not be going to, and we talk about it. Okay. I am a Latina mom, and as I explained to her, I cannot be saying, honey, that's not what you should have done. I am go out, just like, excuse me, young lady, that is not what is expected of you. You know very well, this is what we need to do. And I explain, okay? And I proceed to repeat. Many times I have to repeat 10, 20 times the same thing. Again, they're children, she's in puberty, everything begins to change. But holding our children accountable, helping our children understand to acknowledge fear, helping our children understand that they are in a learning process. Bottom line, that's what we need to keep working on, and that's what I'm trying. Our requests. We urge investigators, social workers, teachers, families to engage with the community diagnosed as developmentally disabled and their families. They have PTSD, whether they're verbal or not, and many have been exposed to experiences similar to those my daughter can now remember. We urge teachers and principals working with children with a variety of diagnoses to seek support from the district and from the state to bring in training to training to all
Okay.
interacting on a daily basis with the population of students that have an IEP, individual education plan, or a 504, which is one of the other designations for students that have specific needs. The community, please open your doors, communicate with us, and respect our differences. This is all we have for now. Thank you very much. And there's our website, autismhappykingdom.com. Her Facebook and Instagram is Rainbow Mosho. There's our email if you want to write it down. Again, we are an open book. I have a lot I can share based on our experiences, what we've seen, what we live. Rainbow Mosho at autismhappykingdom.com. Anything else you want to say?
By the way, it's been a pleasure meeting you all.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes. First of all, I'd like to say I'm really impressed with your drawings, and they're really good. So, how can you tell me, how did you learn to draw? You remember?
She has never taken but she took an art class like 2-3 years ago, 2 summers ago. It was brief, but it was very special and meaningful. But everything that she has done prior to that, again, was just instinctive and natural, just a natural skill that she has that we promoted. There's always paper, there's always markers, pencils, pieces of cardboard, pieces of plastic, and the variety of tools that we've made available to her to keep expressing her creativity.
Oh, yes, I see that. We have two comments. One says, thank you, great presentation. The other one says, this is one of the best presentations by far. Thank you. So people have enjoyed it.
I'll say that verbally. Yeah, thank you. Great presentation. Great drawing.
Thank you, Ron. We really appreciate. Just so you know, this drawing, for example, it's called Air, and she drew the 4 elements. And if you go to our website, autismhappykingdom.com, you will be able to see it. She drew the 4 elements: air, water, fire, and earth. And this is air. Just so you know, she does this on her iPad thanks to her dad, who helps us immensely. It's a big blessing. But she uses her finger. She does this with her finger. She doesn't use the pencil. Everything is done with her finger. And this style of drawing that she has done, it began like last December, and we were just wow. So again, the transitions, the learning process, how she's capable through her art to express the world around her. This screen here where you have the girl with the hat and on top the little box, again, some are challenges that we find on Instagram. There are some illustrators from around the world that have like different events where they give you themes. And the one with the girl and the heart that looks like a battery, that one is called, what's the title of that?
Oh, it's called I forgot, but I know what it means.
What does it mean?
When people give you a lot of love, your heart maximizes because it's been given with tons of love. When people give you less love, your heart goes to minimum because people don't give you love.
So again, the world according to a 12-year-old with autism, where she uses her art to express what she feels, to express her emotions. And again, remember that one of the stigmas individuals on the autism spectrum have is that they don't know how to show their emotion, and that is further from the truth. Okay, we all express emotions in different ways. We all express ourselves differently. And children with autism, children with neurological damage, with developmental disabilities, they are capable of showing emotion. But again, we cannot expect emotion based on how we do it. We have to accept the way they do it. And I think that's so important for all of us to remember.
2 more comments. Thank you for sharing your art and your interpretations with us. And another one says, you have a very smart and beautiful young daughter. Great work, Mom.
Thank you, thank you. And it's an honor. It's an honor. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot still that we have to go through. And I am getting myself ready, trying to keep healthy and keep moving forward. But I'm a firm believer. We must share with the community our experiences and this opportunity. Very thankful to Paula, very thankful to TCSW for being here and being with all of you. And thanks to all of you for listening and your time.
Ron, did you have another comment?
No, just great presentation. I have an autistic grandchild, so it was just great for me to learn some new stuff.
Thank you. And again, feel free to get in touch with us. There's our information and many blessings to all of you, and we keep moving forward.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you again. All right, so if you want to just mute your camera, you can say anything really quickly?
We're good. That's it.
Okay. Ruth wanted to say something.
Yes.
Can I press stop share?
I didn't get to hear what Ruth said, but
I just wanted to say that for children and individuals, communicating is so powerful. We're just lovely art, and you are such a beautiful expresser of your emotions. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for both of you.
thank you for being with us, and thank you for sharing that you've enjoyed what we've
Turn
done.
it off. Turn it off.
Hold on.
You want to mute your camera and mute your microphone. We'll be taken back to the next to the grand session in just in 58 seconds.
Very good. Thank you, Ross, for your help. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.